Hi guys, this is Nikki, also known as Faces Trader, and you're watching the Awesome 10X Live Market Update for the Global. And it's October 1, 2020. I'm going to discuss to you a name that I actually just learned, actually just today. So I was impressed with how it moved. So I'll tell you this ticker symbol. It's a very small company. So it's Nano Dimension, ticker symbol NNDM. Nano Dimension. I'm going to show to you why it got my attention, of course. So Nano Dimension went up 30% last night. And I was wondering why it went up that huge. The chart is still loading. But Nano Dimension is a company in the additive manufacturing trend. It is in the 3D printing trend. So let's go to the PowerPoint presentation of NNDM. So NNDM. So I took a look at the PowerPoint presentation. What does Nano Dimension Tech do? So what got my sights in it was because, of course, it says electrifying additive manufacturing. Nano Dimension is a developer and provider of intelligent machines, consumable conductive dielectric materials for the fabrication of additively manufactured electronics, AME, also known as printed electronics, PE. So it sounds huge. When it comes to additive manufacturing, these are just disruptors. They are going to be one of the few names. I only actually know of Desktop Metal, who's also in additive manufacturing, aka TRNE. So AME machines and consumable materials, these are polymers and silver. They say that they have a first-to-market advantage. They are currently the only digital machine. They are the industry leader with awards and grants. They have 57 blue chip customers in the last 2 years. They've got some recurring revenues or proprietary links, and the main usage for them is the HiPEDs in-house. They've got miniaturized lower weight, fabricated in high mix and low volumes only by 3D printing. So they're saying that they have been enabling these verticals, whether it be research institutes, those who are government agencies who are leveraging some corona-related recovery budgets, research and innovation centers, academies, and universities. Also, they've got industry verticals, the defense, aerospace, drones, automotives, robotics, commercial aviation, in vivo medical devices. And of course, they also do some additive services such as service bureau, in-house print services. So you've probably learned that Amazon and Walmart are trying to do some drones. There was a news that Amazon was trying to ship some medical devices via some drones. And then Walmart was also trying to use Zipline to also try to accommodate drones for medical. So they're just exploring that. Now, what is the business model of Nano Dimension? Nano Dimension solutions have a business model similar to a razor and blade model. You buy the machine, and then they will also make money, not just from the machine, but helping you for updates. So all are mission critical in their view because their machines, the AME and PE machines, are controlled by AIs, producing simultaneous 3D injection of polymer, dielectric, and silver conducive materials to fabricate within hours. So these are high-performance electronic devices such as sensors, antennas, capacitors, converters, unique geometries, and complex devices. So I've been trying to check out on these 3D printing. So in fact, the technology is quite amazing because right now, some people are saying that they can print, like for TRNE example, for Desktop Metal, they said they can do 100 times faster speed, and therefore they can reduce your cost 10 times because of just the fast speed. Consider that we came from manual labor and now we're doing machines and now it's additive manufacturing. It's a disruption in itself. Now, the business model, how is it recurring while it scales? It's because these printed electronics or PE are high gross margin revenue. So actually in the last 3 quarters, as they showed, they've got a high revenue growth and very high recurring GM revenue, gross margin revenue. So positive trend, it's linked because they've got from $800,000 to as high as $7 million, or almost about a 10x move in about 2 years. So they currently need to invest a lot of money. So they've invested $70 million in the last 5 years. mostly in R&D. They've got 46 million shares outstanding, and in recent price of about $3, that means that it's $150 million market cap. Now, that $150 million market cap, that used to be just $75 million a week ago, $1.55 last week. I'll share to you a few things why I think it went up. And of course, the revenue growth, the significant margin improvements will improve if there will be more government scale projects related to some help for Corona. So they got a Corona US government loan, very small, to $20,000. They've got $50 million in cash. So that's important. They've got cash to sustain their R&D despite their revenues just being $7 million. Now, what's impressive with the company is actually the management. Take a look at the president and CEO. Yoav Stern is actually an investor and also a chairman of Cyber, FinTech, and Mobile Visual Tech. He's also the president and CEO of DVTEL, which was sold to FLIR Systems. He is a turnaround executive in the Homeland Security industry. He's also the co-chairman of Bojan Corporation, and one of its main investors was a member of Executive Committee, Audit Committee, and Compensation Committee, Helix Capital. He's a private M&A and turnaround advisory firm, executive chairman of the board of Kelstrom Industries, which was a $300 million aerospace corporation. He's also president of WordStar, a $50 million publicly traded software company. Mr. Yoav Stern led the company's turnaround process, structuring the business combination of WordStar with two other public companies. He was also the VP of M&A and Business Development for Elron Electronic, a multinational industrial investment holding company with annual revenues in excess of $1.5 billion. He is very active in the fields of advanced defense electronics, data communications, internet software products, semiconductor, and telecommunications. Now, he's also a graduate of the Air Force Academy. He's also a colonel, fighter pilot, squadron commander. He had an engineering diploma and also a magna cum laude in mathematics and computer science, graduate of New York University. Of course, you have the other chairman of Barav. He is the joining 2017. So Yoav Stern joined just this year, 2020. Ophir Barav is actually a leader when it comes to 3D printing, PC security, healthcare informatics, digital print live in Shanghai. So he's a partner of Stratus Venture Group, Stratasys, XJet, so Credence Systems, president of Optonics, Credence. So you could see that they have so much, a lot of businesses intertwined. So this is not their very first. Dr. Jaime Nullman. So these are all the US management, and then of course some industry background for the rest. You could see that Cornell University, their university or academes, their MBAs, PhDs from Cornell and Stanford. So actually it reminded me a little bit of TRNE, aka Desktop Metal, because Desktop Metal has 6 MIT professors all in the realm of 3D printing, i.e. they're doing additive manufacturing. So it is a secular trend in my view. We are transitioning from just traditional manufacturing to machines and automotives, to machines and automation. So how big is the 3D printed electronics market? In their view, it's gonna be from about less than $500 million to as high as $3 billion, or at least 5x, $2.5 billion. So there will be a huge surge when it comes to 3D printed electronics. It's the next high growth application, and they're expecting about $600 million by 2021 to as high as $2.5 billion in 2025. So it's a high growth market, and they want to capture a little bit of that revenue pie. Also, you'll notice that a lot of people are saying that during the coronavirus, a lot of supply chains was moved in-house. So that actually helped the 3D printing industry, i.e. the additive manufacturing industry. So Trump had made a lot of tariffs from many parts of China, such that America wanted to produce all of their electronic circuit boards at home. So you could see all of these things localizing the supply chains. This is actually a trend happening. Who are the markets for these HiPEDs, high performance electronic devices? It's why is it even used? It's gonna be controlling for defense and homeland security industry. So you could see the economic models. These are what they produce. The traditional circuit boards, AME, so it's gonna be bridging it and faster and in hours, so it's not in days. So it's a 24/7 machine, cost effective for small and medium sized quantities. The pricing of Dragonfly is about $250,000 to $350,000. Therefore, they believe that they can give a significant gross margin improvement. Of course, that is also patented, 30+ patent applications. And then you could see that they have sold systems. 30 systems were sold in 2018. You've got defense, healthcare, tech, research, and resellers. And then 2019, 27 systems again sold, mostly defense. So mostly the defense industries, technology industries, and then some research and universities are still buying. So that is the basic testing, then the Dragonfly Pro, and then the Dragonfly low volume production. Since then, 45% of their customers upgraded from Pro to LDM with up to $55,000 increase. 45% are still in the process. So that means that additive manufacturing has a competitive edge. Why? Because it's controlled by AI and enabled by hardware. You can actually check more about how they're doing. And of course, you could check the testimonials and customer presentations of what they've done, from RF amplifier to space. This is one of their joint projects, space system communication satellite. So these are, of course, some of their clients. The printers, fax. Okay, this one is also Hensoldt. This is another client, Hensoldt. So you could see 3D printed electronic components, next level of AM applications. If you'll ask me, they also did some wearables. So wearable technologies, monitoring biometrics, healthcare, physiology. So they're doing smart patches, electronic tattoos, piezoelectric technologies for the body, old crimping for energy harvesters. So Dragonfly, no? You could see these are the sensors. So we are seeing, if you were looking at the Amwell IPO was saying that we are heading into a remote patient monitoring. It's called RPM. So with remote patient monitoring, similar to how Google is also introducing those Fitbits that will check your sweat glands, how you sleep, and all those stuff. So I think that these carotid smart patches, monitoring cardiovascular parameters, these would be more and more, it's going to be more mainstream in the next 5 to 10 years. So I know that the growth plan of Nano looks to be very, you know, it's a little bit, it's a too small company, right? So they only got $7 million. They have a $150 million market cap. It was $75 million. I took a look at it, and I think what's important to check on NNDM is how it will move at $2. Why $2? Because $2 is where some investors actually gave an institutional support for NNDM. For instance, the NNDM has been supported by your Tesla's, your big founder of, sorry, not big founder, but the well-known ARK Invest. So ARK Invest was, in my view, actually being front-run. So when it was known by most people that ARK Invest was buying Nano Dimension, a lot of people actually bought it up given the low float nature of NNDM. So take a look at NNDM, and I shared it in some of my some Slack. So anyway, this is such a micro cap. So there will be volatility here. That's why I'm willing to share. Of course, we do a lot of deep dives. This is just one of the one micro cap that you might need to put in your watch list when it comes to additive manufacturing. It is such a nascent, technology, very new, infant in you. If you ask me, it's just an infant. So against TRNE has more credibility in my view, but this one is interesting because it's not as expensive given what they're doing. Plus, you've got institutions and a lot of short squeeze. So I believe that NNDM had a huge short squeeze. Institutions were buying, and there were retail front running that institution, such that it had a spectacular move in the last 2 days. It went from about $1.55 last week to as high as $2.86 this week. That's 100% move. Let's take a look at the chart right now. 34%. There was a huge volatility yesterday, 236 to 328. I'm trying to open my charts right now. While it's loading, let me just discuss that yesterday was, of course, Asana and Palantir's direct listing. Both of them popped from IPO, and I think for these names, it's also good. But between the two, I'd rather have Palantir. You've seen my free Friday class on Palantir. Check it out inside the YouTube site if you haven't. Nano Dimension, you could see that there was a lot of buying pressure at about 155, a breakout to as high as 180, and then another breakout at 2. And then yesterday was a very strong move, So you could see that from just 1, 2, 3, 4 days, it was 100% move. So given the 100% move of this name, I'd say that you need some correction back to about $2.15 or even at 2.5. So given the nature of this, this is quite speculative, but it is interesting. Also, Nano Dimension has a small stake partnering with Neutron Energy, which is also doing some batteries. So whether you want a microcap or not, this one I think is something to watch out for. Take note that it went from $1 to $3.50, fell down to $1.50, back to $3. Any flags between $3 all the way to $2 would be, in my view, huge volatility. But the bulls have this, especially if it goes to 2. Any price near 2, of course, is a godsend, but I'm not sure if it will go down there. So that is a company that you might want to check out for your microcaps. I don't think it's a 10x. It could be a 15 to 20x if they truly get a lot of good clients in the next couple of years. Now, there's a lot of companies that went up. You've got a lot of all-time highs, and then I could discuss all of them, but I'd rather check your comments if you have any. Let me just read your comments first. Yeah, added NNDM to my watch list. Thanks. What about Corsair? CRSR is an IPO. Corsair Gaming is a competition of Logitech, competition of Turtle Beach. I think some people just upgraded here. HEAR, Turtle Beach went $18 last night because of an upgrade. So I think like between all of these companies, I prefer owning Razer and Turtle Beach rather than Corsair or even Logitech. So I prefer the other competition rather than current IPO. Desktop Metal, I think, is an interesting company because it might be the biggest pure play when it comes to additive manufacturing. Now, I could be wrong, but between all the rest of the competition, it looks like TRNE, aka Desktop Metal, has more clients and more ability to show leadership within the sector. Any thoughts on Palantir? Is it a good time to buy tonight? Palantir opened from about $9.50. Well, it went 10 to as high as 11.30, closed at 9.50. It's above 7.20. I'd say that it will continue to be bought. Palantir maybe $10 below to about 7 or 8. You want to buy it if you believe in data analytics and AI, because Palantir does well understanding data and making sense of that data, not just to help, of course, Walmart and Hershey's, but also banks and really a lot of companies. So if Biden wins the election, does it really have an effect on our renewables, especially our solar names? So I'm bullish on solar, whether Joe Biden wins or not. It doesn't matter which president wins. As you know, California already restricted all the vehicles to be electric vehicle by 2035. And of course, you've seen that electric vehicle is a trend for the next 10 years. If you have an electric vehicle, it just makes sense that you have a solar home as well. Also, the solar is cheaper than wind and hydro. And that just will encourage more investments. Like about $2 trillion will be invested in more renewables in the next 5 to 10 years. So that is just going to increase the demand for the solar companies that we like. Therefore, the question on what is the resistance for Sunrun? If you ask me, there is no resistance for Sunrun. We like Sunrun ever since 25, 24, 23, 26, ever since it broke out 20. Actually, I like Sunrun ever since 13. I just never really discussed it out loud, 13 and 19. And then I really deep dived on it at about 26, 27 when Sunrun had a Vivid Solar acquisition. Nonetheless, right now Sunrun is trading at about 75, 77. It could hit $80, but you might see some profit takers at $80, but there will always be support for Sunrun right now. The Sunrun support will be as high as $60. So if you got in very low, just wait for a pullback for another entry. In fact, last night, there's a good entry for Unity. Unity rallied from 52 to 102. Of course, that's 100% increase from IPO. Therefore, for Palantir, if this one rallies to about 14, 15, you might see some resistances, given that $7.25 IPO direct listing price. So with Run, I'd say that 80 might be some selling pressure. Like I think Run right now is 77. So if you have run, you want to just profit take a little, maybe half or one third, and then just hold all the way. If it falls below 60, you have a lot of buyers. So I think the higher low of Sunrun will now be 60. It's not even going to go 50 anymore. Is C Limited a buy at current price? C Limited right now is trading at $154 if my memory is intact, if my memory is correct. So I'm gonna just answer you based on memory because my charts are really, really slow. My internet is slow. C Limited is a buy in my view at about 150 below. I saw that it went 160. It's consolidating at that 160. Some people don't know if it has to go to 180 and $190 already. But if you're gonna ask me, C Limited is a buy for me whether it breaks above 160 or not. So whether you want to actually buy C Limited as low as you can, but the truth is I don't know how low you can buy it, given that recent correction of C Limited was just limited to $138 or $140. So I don't think that you can buy C Limited too cheap. If you have zero exposure in C Limited, you can still buy it at 154 with leeway to buy more at 135 or 140 if it goes down. Scales got Ryu as competitor. I haven't checked Ryu, so I'll check it out. Lemonade actually had the news that there was a lockup expiration for some of their employees. So some of those employees might be selling because they're also in COVID pandemics, right? So they might want to take profit on some lemonade. But I think that $50 so far for lemonade is just consolidating. 46, 48, 50, 52. So I'd say that lemonade is right now asleep. Eventually, it will break out. Of course, if you believe in insurance being disrupted, Lemonade is also being copied right now by everyone. Lemonade is copied by Geico himself, Geico, by Warren Buffett. Lemonade means that the disruptor is trying to be copied, and people are saying how big of a moat does Lemonade have, given that most of its clients are millennials. And that's true, but I would argue that Lemonade is going to make these millennials happy, and millennials are going to be bigger and bigger someday. So I say that there's a future for Lemonade. Even if it's sleeping right now, it's just a keep for now. Any insights on Workhorse? Actually, with the electric vehicle, I have to share that XPEV actually, XPEV, Xiaopeng Motors was rallying last night. Actually, Xiaopeng really rallied last night to $20. I actually canceled my Xiaopeng selling at about 21 because I think that Xiaopeng can even go to 24, 25, even go to $30. After a solid support at $18, take note that Xiaopeng Motors IPO was $15, backed by Alibaba, really has great vehicles if you will just check it out. So, and of course, they got another $500 million of funding for their production to increase vehicles. So, I'd say that the electric vehicle war in China will be around. There's a lot of competition, you know that. So there's Tesla, there's NIO, there's Li Auto, there's Xiaopeng, there's BYD, there's Great Wall Motors, there's SAIC Motors, there's Geely Auto. So there's actually, if I'm gonna like mention all the vehicles, it's gonna be like 30 plus vehicles. There's a lot. Like there's truly a lot of vehicles trying to capture that 1 billion Chinese market, and not just China, but also Europe. Because right now, China and Europe is really getting a lot of electric vehicles. So Xiaopeng is also doing that production for Europe. You'll see that if you try to check on news. So between all these electric vehicles, I currently have a stake in Xiaopeng Motors. I also have a stake in Geely, BYD. We also have Tesla, of course, like the leader. But Workhorse right now is at about 25. There might be some resistance given that Workhorse 25, 27, 30. They might need to raise money. Take note that Workhorse raised money last time at about $2. So they might actually want to raise money here at about $25 to $30. I'd suggest that if you only heard about the EV manufacturer company right now, 25, you are late. So Workhorse, we have been discussing this since $6. I'm not that early at $2, but Workhorse, we discussed it at $6, $7. If you were listening to the Awesome 10X show early on. We made some money on Workhorse, but I think that at this point in time, you might be a little late. I doubt that Workhorse will fall at 16 below. But if it did, then I'd say that there will be buyers on Workhorse at 16. Is Asana overpriced at current price? I'm not interested to get Asana. You've got great founders, agree. But I think that the product has a lot of competition, and I'm not too keen on buying SaaS names. Yesterday, there was a SaaS name that went up very strongly. That's Datadog. Datadog had a partnership integration with Microsoft. You might want to check out other names that have less competition and have more niche products. So Asana competes with a lot. Like you have Monday.com, it's project management. So I think I'm very scared if you have a lot of competition. You've got Atlassian is a competition. So Atlassian I prefer rather than Asana. What do you think of Adidas and Nike? Between the two, I prefer Nike. We have a buy on Nike since 67. We were early in Nike. Right now, Nike is 125. Adidas is doing 289. I don't think you will be wrong owning both of them. But given a choice, and I think that our choice was very clear, we had a very clear choice that Nike is our pick, not Adidas. So I believe more in Nike's direction, the e-commerce, the technology front. So, but the trend for Nike is really just athleisure and direct to consumer. So D2C. I think the leader is Nike, not Adidas. And it's very clear. The market knows that. Nike is the leader, not Adidas. Okay, so thank you very much. I hope you learned something for the day. So I just really introduced. Okay, there's a question. Last question, and I'll answer that. Is Velodyne LiDAR a buy? What happened yesterday? So Velodyne LiDAR quickly dropped from about $25 to $19. In my view, well, I actually felt that the 18 to 25 was very quick, and Velodyne LiDAR here at 19, even if it goes back to 14, I'm a buyer. So Velodyne LiDAR, we've been buying from 18 to 14, sold some 24, 25, it rallied to 32. When it fell down, we bought again at about 19, 20. So right now, I think it's 19. 19 all the way to 14 is a buy. Even if Velodyne LiDAR goes down $17 tonight, I would assume it's a buy. But of course, we do practice risk management. How do I manage my risk? I make sure that my position on Velodyne LiDAR is just 5% of my portfolio. So the maximum, if it continues dropping, is for me to get maybe 10% of my portfolio in Velodyne LiDAR. The reason being why I like Velodyne LiDAR is because I truly believe that all electric vehicles would need to see, not just vehicles, they have so much applications, robots, all of these automation will need Velodyne LiDAR. And it's not will need, they already have contracts with them. So I'm not really scared whether people want to sell it down after the change in name. Of course, Velodyne LiDAR used to be Graph. So we were buying Graph, and now it's Velodyne LiDAR. It's still the same company. And I do believe in the management long term. I think it's a 10x. So any drops, in fact, Velodyne LiDAR is one of the most happy companies for me. Made money on Velodyne LiDAR. Drops, I will buy. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.